Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's DealerOn webinar, the roadmap to awesome automotive SEO in 2018. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. For anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our amazing SEO, the best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the award-winning Chameleon responsive website platform. We've been awarded the Driving Sales Dealer Satisfaction Award for top-rated websites for an unprecedented 7th year in a row. We also took home the AWA Award for Best Websites 3 times, plus FCA and Ford have announced that we're now an approved vendor. Big things are happening over here at DealerOn. We're still the only company in the industry that offers a money-back lead guarantee program. Do you want to know more? Yeah, you do. You can check us out at our gorgeous brand new DealerOn website at DealerOn.com. And DealerOn is going to be exhibiting and presenting at the NADA convention in Vegas this weekend. So if you're going to be here, stop by booth 3493 Charlie. We've got the best booth around, and we're not just bringing the best digital marketing tools and some free booze to NADA this year, we're also bringing some serious knowledge. Our very own Greg Gifford will have 2 sessions on the Lego Masters Builder's Guide to Local SEO for Car Dealers. Figure out what's holding your dealership back from showing up in Google searches in your area. We've also got Michael DeVito, our Chief Creative Officer, who's going to talk about selling more cars with your mobile website strategy in Save the Path to Purchase. Turn website traffic into sales. Can't wait to see you there. And don't forget to schedule your DealerOn NADA demo to score a cool $100. For more info, go to DealerOn.com. We have a great show in store for you today. We are very pleased to have DealerOn's very own Steve Shackelford as our presenter today. Steve Shackelford is the Search and Social Team Manager at DealerOn, responsible for running the team and contributing to overall SEO strategy. He's been in the SEO arena for over 5 years, with more than 4 years spent exclusively in the automotive vertical. His experience across multiple dealer website platforms and gift for analyzing data is integral to the success of the DealerOn SEO team. He's becoming a popular speaker at automotive conferences due to his unique take on local SEO and laid-back presentation style, and he can be reached at sshackelford@DealerOn.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, we're going to try to respond by email later today. Don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference. Feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And guess what? Our good friends at AutoHook are sponsoring this week's webinar giveaway. AutoHook is a showroom traffic driver, and they've built the ultimate attribution engine, which tracks that customer through the lead, showroom visit, and purchase, and then delivers a cost per sale that's best in the industry. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a $250 e-gift card from AutoHook. You have to be on the live broadcast to win it, though, so stay tuned, and you could be the one walking away with this awesome prize today. And for more information about AutoHook, visit driveautohook.com. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, you're going to get a short survey, so fill it out. We're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. We want to hear what you have to say about today's show. And hey, do you tweet much? We hope you do. We'd love to see what you have to say about today's presentation, so please tag us in it. You can use hashtag DealerOnWebby. I'm at Eliana Raggio. You can also hit up Steve Shackelford at ST Shackelford. We look forward to seeing what you're saying. All right, everyone, let's get started. Let's learn the roadmap to awesome automotive SEO in 2018. Steve Shackelford, has been way too long, my friend. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. How are you?
Doing just fine. How about yourself?
I love that you're here, and you always bring me the SEO goods, and today is no exception. So I know you have a ton. Audience, there are so many slides in this deck, so we're going to get right to it. Steve, welcome to the DealerOn webinar program again, and where do we start? Let's tell the people the kinds of things we're going to be learning about today, and let's get to it.
Sure. So really what we're going to go over is just kind of learn what matters for SEO in 2018. And then we're going to really drill into the link aspect of a lot of this stuff. So learning how to identify new link opportunities, learning how to treat SEO as a branding effort so it doesn't feel so hollow, and then we'll get to the giveaway and the Q&A session at the end.
That sounds like a great idea. Audience, don't be shy. Ask the questions because we want to help you have awesome automotive SEO this year and beyond. All right, Steve, let's get to it. Where do we start?
Let's get right into it. So,
is there a theme here today?
That's right. I'm ready to go. Yeah, that's it. Let's get moving. Cool. So despite what you guys may have heard out there about SEO in 2018, links still matter. You know, everything that's old is kind of new again. The content on your website matters, of course. Your mobile experience is going to matter a lot in 2018. But one of the things I just see car dealers missing a lot of is actual link building opportunities out there. So in the local search ranking factors that got released last year by Darren Shaw, the local pack and finder ranking factors put my business signals up at the top, which include proximity, the category declarations, is the keyword in the business title, that kind of stuff. So some people get favored if it's, you know, Toyota of Richardson, Texas versus somebody who's called, you know, Bob Motors or something like that. So keyword in the business title helps a little bit there for the local pack and finder ranking factors. And that's the little display where you're going to see A, B, and C and a little map above there. Displays on mobile, displays on desktop. That's the really localized stuff. But for localized organic ranking factors, which is still the 10 blue links on the page, link signals is the #1 thing that matters. And that's inbound anchor text, linking domain authority, and linking domain quantity. So that's what we're really going to dig in today, is how to look at link building, how to kind of shift your perspective on what is good, how many links you should have, where you should be targeting link opportunities, and how to use really users as a gauge for whether or not the link opportunity is viable. So we'll dig into some domain authority stuff, but really we're going to be trying to hammer in what's on brand for your dealership or your business, and then are there actual users that go to those sites? Because getting a link on a page that never has users that visit it, really isn't going to do too much for you. So why do links matter? Because search engines are going to check out your site, and then they're going to check out other sites. And they're going to look at mentions and citations and which sites link back to your site. So that's why it matters. Search engines are also going to go through your website and check out your internal link structure. So they don't like seeing, well, they're not going to see orphaned pages, but if there's a page of high importance to you and it only gets one link internally from another page on your website, search engines will look at that and say, it can't be that important. You only link to it from one other page. And even though that one other page may be super relevant, you do want to try to find other opportunities to build links back to all of your internal pages from at least 2 or 3 if you can find them. So most car dealers here, you've got a local business, so I would go local crazy on this stuff. I don't like trying to go after national link building opportunities all the time because that very rarely leads to actual sales in your dealership. And you might say, oh, but Steve, that will help my domain authority overall if I get all these links from national websites. And you're right, it will, but I would really focus on the local stuff because if you can get your name out there, if you can put your link on a site that has local users, that's going to help send the right signals and actually potentially convert into a sale for you. So one of the easiest things to do and things that car dealers have been doing for years before links even mattered to you guys, just sponsoring relevant businesses. And this is where the local aspect gets in a whole bunch too. You could go sponsor a plumber 10 states away and say, hey, you know, we do all the automotive maintenance for those guys or something, but it's very unlikely that you actually do that. So you really want to look at sponsoring relevant businesses in your area, and that could be anything related to automotive, related to tires, related to really anything you're doing there. Event sponsorships are also very popular. I like those a whole lot. Real company good time stuff is a great way to get links locally, and what I mean by this is just, hey, are you giving a car away to a teacher? Are you doing anything in the local area that actually is a splashy story? That's going to generate you a lot more links than any one-to-one effort where you're trying to go out, contact a webmaster, and get one link back because of an event sponsorship or a relevant business sponsorship. If you're doing legitimate things in your market, make sure that people in the market know about it. Reach out to news stations. Let them know that you're giving a car away to a teacher. Reach out to the teachers union. Let them know what's going on. And that's just real company good time stuff that will lead to other links. And you'll get more links out of that kind of stuff than you will having a link builder like me or somebody at your dealership that are hounding individual webmasters for that kind of stuff. Smart content in untapped areas. So this would be like super, super fast. If you have any kind of current event going on that you guys have a unique take on and you can put out content in there that satisfies the content need in your market, do it. And maybe it's something like a new model release. Hey, there's probably a bunch of other websites that have that stuff out there, so it's really not untapped. You do have to kind of look for opportunities here and say, you know what, nobody's written about the best paths for off-roading in Dallas, Texas, or something like that. And if you've got a truck dealership, got a Jeep dealership, look for these untapped areas. And sometimes you may find that somebody wrote about it 10 years ago, but nobody's updated it. And that post from 10 years ago is still getting really good rankings. Go check out that post, take a look at what they did well that's ranking well for them, and then try to find something that you can, move into that untapped area there. Useful stuff, again, that's going to be your biggest driver. That's very similar to real company good time stuff. If you're providing legitimate value to your community and legitimate usefulness, let people know about it. That's going to get you more links than anything we're doing here. And then, yes, one more time, anything remotely useful is going to help you guys out a lot. And so we're going to get into our first poll question very, very early here. I just want to know really about event sponsorships, and Eliana will drive the bus on this.
I think that's a great idea. Okay, audience, your first poll question of the day is on the screen now. We only have 2 poll questions, so let's get into this and help us out. We want to know, how many events does your dealership sponsor each year? Please select one of the following answers. Are you party animals? You sponsor more than 10 events in a year? Is it somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 events a year? Is it less than 5, or is it none? Once we get a majority of votes in, we're going to close this poll and share the results. We do have another poll question coming at you a little bit later in the presentation, but for right now, we're just trying to find out how many events your dealership sponsors each year. Thank you so much for the votes. They're coming in nice and fast. You are awesome today, audience. I really appreciate it. Okay, and likewise, we've already gotten in a couple of really amazing questions from the audience. So if you have a question for today's DealerOn webinar presenter, Steve Shackelford, make sure you get that question in, and we'll be getting to those after his presentation. All right, Steve, if you're ready, I will close this poll and share the results. What do you think?
All good with me. Let's see them.
Let's see. I don't know what the national average is, but here at the DealerOn webinar today, let's see what we have. More than 10 events in a year. Well, that's done by about 29% of today's dealerships that are on this call. The majority, however, 35% of today's audience say they do around 5 to 10 events a year. 29% of today's audience say they do less than 5. And then the remaining 7%, well, they admit they don't sponsor any events in a calendar year. Steve, what's the takeaway here? How many events should we be sponsoring? What if they're really big events? I mean, should we sponsor as many events as possible, or is there a sweet spot?
I would do as many that are relevant, and this is where you look for opportunities to provide value. So if there's a golf tournament, you don't have to be the title sponsor at a golf tournament, but there's usually 18 different hole sponsors that you can put up there. So I would say as many as possible that are relevant to your business. And if you're a high-end dealer who sells Lexus, Mercedes, that kind of stuff, then it makes a lot of sense for you to go to golf tournaments. Same kind of deal if you're going to, kind of play the odds a little bit more. Look for basketball tournaments. You don't have to sponsor the whole league. You don't have to sponsor even a whole team, but there's tournaments all the time. So look for little one-off opportunities there, and I would do as many as possible that fits into your budget. And then you go verify that you acquire those links afterwards. So 10 plus is all good with me.
I love it. All right, let's get back to the show. Where do we go from here?
Cool. Let's keep rocking. So the first step to going out and trying to figure out, okay, how do I find partners to sponsor? How do I find relevant businesses? How do I find events that I want to sponsor? It's to first determine where you provide value. And the big caveat on that is to determine where you provide value while still staying true to your brand. Because it doesn't do a ton of good if a bunch of car dealers are out there sponsoring cotton candy festivals. Like, that's fine. If you want to go sponsor the cotton candy festival, knock yourself out. But there are other ways to do it. And when you're sponsoring the Cotton Candy Festival and everyone else is like a Sprinkles Cupcakes or some other candy store that's sponsoring it, this is kind of what it comes off as, is Duffman trying to be Mark Twain here. And that's not really good for anyone. It just kind of looks a little weird that people went to the Cotton Candy Festival and your dealership sponsored it. So, hey, do it if it's near and dear to your heart and you've got a real big passion about cotton candy, knock it out. But most people aren't attending the Cotton Candy Festival to go pick up your pamphlets and your signage there and your sponsorship. Isn't going to do too much for your dealership in the long run. So start figuring out how you can bring some value to the table. And this can be resources, in-kind contributions, or just straight cash. Some organizations are just looking for, hey, $2,000. Some people are looking for, hey, we just need a facility to meet at once a month or something like that. Can we use your parking lot? Or they want a dealership to take photos in, for their end-of-year high school photos and stuff like that. So look at the resources you have available, look at how much budget you have, and then start trying to figure out where your value is coming from. And sometimes this is just content or a splashy story. Like if you've got two people at your dealership that, they both started on the same day 30 years ago and they fell in love, cool. I'm sure there's some stupid little love magazine out there that would love to get their hands on that story. So you guys can be the content provider and write it on your own blog, but then go start pushing that out to anywhere relevant and say, hey, we've got a pretty splashy story here about how these two people met. Would you guys be interested in picking this stuff up or doing a news article about us, anything like that? So that's where you can bring some value to the table and try to start getting links back. And on all of this stuff, I would encourage everyone to just consider these branding efforts. That helps you get buy-in from the people above you there because you're not doing it just for the links. If you do it just for links, it will feel like a raw deal to you. So you have to start thinking of it more as a branding effort. And really do it to build your business. Look at opportunities for places where users are going to be, places where offline people are going to be that fit your demographic. So again, if you're selling lower end vehicles, look in that range. If you're doing higher end vehicles, go sponsor the Polo Club or some crap like that. And then use this to reinforce your other marketing efforts. So, I'm in the SEO bubble, so I care most about search marketing, but there are other marketing initiatives that you all are already engaged in. Do all of this stuff to reinforce those marketing efforts. And so primarily the verticals I've worked in are automotive and insurance. I was previously the in-house SEO manager at a pretty major national insurance company. So a lot of my examples here will delve into that a little bit, but they are still local businesses, and there's some great takeaways that we can use here. So some of the stuff where I find a lot of overlap where you all could start sponsoring these businesses or seeing if they need any of the resources that you all have available to them. Driving education schools, one of my favorites. A lot of times they're looking for service on those vehicles if they don't have a provider that's already doing oil changes, tire rotations, stuff like that. You can usually put your poster up at the driver's ed school. Your signage makes a lot of sense there. And these people are probably going to buy a car. Their parents are going to need to buy them a car, maybe not at 16, but maybe at 18 when they go off to college. And the more you can put pamphlets in their hand, the more you can get your name in front of them. That's a good branding effort that reinforces your other marketing efforts as well. Gimmicky defensive driving courses are always good. You see these at like Denny's, it's like comedy defensive driving. Those people will take $50 from you all day long to put your name on the paperwork. And a lot of that stuff is like state mandated paperwork, but they'll include other stuff there, and they're always looking for money and looking for sponsorship. So go for the gimmicky ones. Don't go for the real professional buttoned up ones. They're a little bit harder to get into, but if any like comedy defensive driving course or some crap like that you see, really, really good, really easy to approach those cats. Homeowners associations is probably one of my favorites because you can really target by neighborhood and demographics. So most all of these homeowners associations have something going on a monthly basis, whether it be a yard of the month kind of club or whoever the neighborhood watch person is that's driving around, that rotates a lot of times. So there's always these opportunities with homeowners associations to say, hey, we'll give out a free oil change to the neighborhood watch driver or whatever fleet vehicle they're using, or if they're using their own vehicles, we'll give you guys 2 free oil changes a month. We just need you to put our link up on your website. So most of these homeowners associations have a little baby website there that isn't going to have great domain authority, but you know that the only people that are using that website are demographically targeted. If it's a high-end neighborhood, oh, okay, well, these people have money, and they're going to be on their homeowners association website at some point in time. Anytime I can get my brand in front of them and anytime I can get a user to click through, outstanding. And so this is where they'll likely announce the Yard of the Month winner. Sure, they'll get a sign out front, but they'll also usually put it up on the homepage or some dedicated page about the Yard of the Month Club. And then you say prize for the Yard of the Month is $250, sponsored by Toyota of Richardson, something like that. They're getting 2 shout-outs today. So these are really, really great ones because you can target it demographically on the neighborhoods where you know you get more people that are likely to buy from you. Local teen safety programs are great too. Again, this is a lot of overlap between insurance and automotive here, but teen safety is extremely, extremely important. And there's a lot of great resources out there for programs that are national and local, and these things spring up all the time. So look in your local area, find if there's a teen safety program that's going around. They're one of the people that usually look for dealership destinations where they can use the parking lot to do a kind of safety demonstration. They're rarely looking for cash a lot of times, but that's where you would just use your resources, see if you can provide anything to them there, and they give great links back. Food truck meetups are usually pretty on brand for you all. Finding stuff, especially if you're a truck dealer. These meetups happen all the time. Most of the food truck parks have their own website, and they'll do a meetup once a month. Look to those things, see if you can sponsor either an individual truck that will get you a link there, or see if you can sponsor the whole park and get a meetup stuff, because you know those people, yeah, it's more of a food-related thing, but talking about the trucks is somewhat on brand to you all as well, so there's always opportunities there. Walk Like Mad is one of my favorites. So MAD is the Mothers Against Drunk Driving there, and everyone wants to be associated with a big, giant organization like that that's doing their own offline advertising for, I mean, you still see commercials for Mothers Against Drunk Driving all over the place. But they also do a ton of local events like Walk Like Mad, where it's kind of like 5K. Hey, we're going to go walk, and here's this little local one. It's going to be tough for you to get a sponsorship for Mothers Against Drunk Driving on their corporate site, but there are smaller sites that are still associated with that brand that you all can target. So one of the best teen safety programs out there is Doug Habert, or A-Bears, Put on the Brakes is essentially what it's called. And it's put on by Kia, and you can see Kia is the #1 sponsor link on this particular supporters page. But other dealerships and other insurance agencies are getting in on the fun here too. So Hyundai Globus is an individual dealership. The Mercedes-Benz of South Charlotte, is another individual dealership there. And you can see another little individual insurance agency there. So this is very on brand for these guys. If somebody came to this website, it isn't super likely that people would click on these particular links, but this is a great website to get involved with. And on most of these websites, it's not too difficult to identify how to get involved. There's a whole page dedicated to it. And if you read through it, it says very clearly, hey, you know, individuals, small groups, corporations can help us by volunteering their time, their money, their resources. They accept both monetary and in-kind contributions. And this is super easy. You just have to hit them up. You get a link on that sponsors page, and that's a DA50 site. And so what Put on the Brakes does is they look for dealerships that are willing to host their teen safety program. So that means, sure, I've got a dealership that would love to host this. Now you guys get to put out a blog about it. You reach out to news organizations, let them know what's going on, that there's this teen safety program. You reach out to that driver's ed school that you're already sponsoring, let them know about it, and you get more links back to that blog post you wrote, and you get a link for Put on the Brakes. Stuff like this is how you can do offline stuff and get more and more links back. It's on brand. It provides value to your customers. People that already bought a car, you can let every one of them know about it. Say, hey, if you've got a teen driver, come up here. We're doing a Put on the Brakes thing next month. And even though it's sponsored by Kia, it's Kia's program, it's still good for any individual dealership. It's on brand. Do it. So the next one, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, one of my favorite organizations out there. Look at how on brand these sponsors are. Uber is the #1 sponsor. I can't think of a better, more on brand sponsor than Uber right now, is to say, hey, if you're drunk, just call a frickin' Uber. It's easy. And then you get major organizations like State Farm and Nationwide there. Big boys, big boys. So it's going to be tough, but there are smaller organizations or smaller events attached to that organization like Walk Like Mad, and they do these all over the place. So on the Walk Like Mad pages, now you start seeing more individualized and local sponsorships here. And these are people that make a lot of sense. An injury lawyer, cool, that's who you would expect to see at Mothers Against Drunk Driving. A nationwide insurance agent there. That's who you would expect to see. AAA of Texas, that's who you would expect to see there. So all of these sponsors are very on brand for this Walk Like Mad event. This is where it would be weird if a plumber came in and started sponsoring it, unless it's just really near and dear to his heart, and then he's just doing it for that reason alone. So look for these opportunities. This is where I'd say err on the side of Mothers Against Drunk Driving over the Cotton Candy Festival in town, that kind of stuff. And so if all things are created equal and they both have the same domain authority, they both have the same sponsorship costs, go with the stuff that's on brand. And so Mothers Against Drunk Driving, yeah, it'd be great to be up there with Uber and State Farm and Nationwide. That'd be awesome. It's got a domain authority 82. That's going to be tricky. But if you get on Walk Like Mad, it still has a domain authority of 52. And these are all metrics that are generated by Moz, and it's a 0 to 100 scale there. But a 52 is very strong. Most of the partnerships and organizations you guys are going to be working with probably are a 30 below. So that's why I try to look for bigger organizations and see if there are local events attached to that bigger organization that we can get our hands on. So you want to find opportunities. I like to just find what works in your vertical. So maybe you guys focus more on service than anything else. So that's a completely different thing than car sales. Excuse me. And most of you guys do both. But let's say you've got an oil change station and you really want to see what's working from a link opportunity perspective in that vertical. Just go run link checks on them, and we'll get into the link checkers in just a little bit. But find what's working and then just do it better, because that's kind of the whole point. So if you see that all your competitors are sponsoring golf tournaments, cool, find better golf tournaments. Or if they've got the best one in town, see if you can get on there as well. Because if you can't take that link from them, or you can't beat them with other golf tournaments with higher domain authorities, you might as well join them on that kind of stuff. But really think about how your good ideas can beat your competition, because that really is what will win out in the long term is, hey, they thought to sponsor the Cotton Candy Festival. I'm going to go do Walk Like Mad, and we're going to spend the same money, but I'm going to get a link that's got a higher domain authority, is more on brand for me, and I'm going to spend the same amount of money that my competitor's spending there. And you can just inquire. You run a link check on them, see where they're getting links. Go reach out to the golf tournaments they're sponsoring and say, hey, how much is it for a whole sponsorship? And they'll say $1,000. You're like, oh, okay, cool. That's the same amount it is for Walk Like Mad, but your golf tournament has a domain authority of 10, and you don't have great users that come in and out of this site. The Walk Like Mad one has people signing up from that page, so they're going to see all of these sponsors right there. It's more likely that we would get a click from that, and it's really on brand when we're at the actual event. So one caveat, though, is more does not mean better. This is a real popular strategy 10 years ago, so that's why a lot of people have moved away from doing link building for SEO, especially in the local market, because it's hard. It's a lot of offline stuff. It's not as easy as just writing a bunch of content that has keywords in it or posting one blog a week. That's what you see a lot of people doing is, oh, we've got to get our citations clean. And you're like, yeah, you do have to get your citations clean, and the content on your website does have to be very good and useful, but that's not ever going to change, and neither will links, but links are really, really important still because not a lot of people are doing it. And so more does not mean better. You all will find opportunities to go buy 1,000 links from some guy in Russia, or 1,000 links from some guy 10 states away, or something like that on local businesses. Don't do that. More does not mean better on this stuff. So that does bring us to our next poll question. I'll let Eliana take it away.
Thank you so much. By the way, we had a really funny comment that came in from Georgie. Says, this slide deck is making me want to buy a Canyonero. So thank you. Yes. I'm so glad that you are also a fan of The Simpsons, as we all are over here. Okay, let's see. Second and final poll question is on the screen now. We want to know what's happening at your dealership, so please help us out. We want to know, how many hours per month do you spend building links? That's a simple question, right? Please select one of the following answers. Is it more than 3 hours, somewhere between 2 to 3 hours, somewhere between 1 to 2 hours? Is it less than an hour, or as little time as possible, if at all? Once we get a majority of the votes in, we're going to close this poll and share the results. And by the way, Steve, wow, we have got some wonderful questions that have come in for you for the Q&A session. So audience, keep it up. Keep those great questions coming in. They're really, really very thought-provoking questions. So thank you so much for taking the time to send those in. And we're going to get you some answers after this presentation during the Q&A session. All right, votes are coming in nice and fast. Audience, you are killing it today. Awesome. We'll leave it open for a few more seconds, and then we will close the poll and share those results. So while we're waiting for some more votes to come in, Steve, how long has it been since you have been a Simpsons fan? They've been on for 13 years?
So yeah, exactly. You remember in the 90s when parents told their kids they weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons? I think it was the original Bush administration, Barbara Bush there. Yeah, so as soon as my parents told me I couldn't watch The Simpsons, that's when it became my favorite show. So unfortunately, from a psychological standpoint, they really missed that. They should have encouraged me to watch The Simpsons, and then I would have watched anything but. So yeah, since probably 1992, I think.
I can't believe they're still on. It's amazing. All right.
That's right.
Audience, thank you so much for your votes. So very appreciated. We're going to close this poll now, and let's see what you had to say. All right. So how many hours per month do you spend building links? Only 6% of today's audience say they spend more than 3 hours a month building links. 13% of today's audience say it's about 2 or 3 hours. Ooh. Another 13% say they spend about 1 or 2 hours. A solid 1/3 of today's audience, 33%, say they spend less than an hour building links. And then the majority, 35% of today's audience, admit as little time as possible, if at all, maybe link building isn't their thing. Okay, so audience, thank you so much for your candor and your honesty. We do appreciate your votes. And now let's turn it back over to Steve. Steve, I mean, you do this, and you have a team of people who do this with you as well. So here's my question to you. How much time does it take? How much time should a dealer put in to building links every month? What is more than 3 hours too much to ask, or is that really what you have to do?
That's how much I would do it, and a lot of it is just verifying that you're getting links from the events you're sponsoring or the relevant businesses there. So about 3 hours is what it takes, minimum.
Wow, okay. All right, so for those people who aren't doing it, I know you've already talked about the importance of link building. Is there anything you can say to them so that they get off their duff and actually start doing this link building? Is there a wrong way to do link building?
I would say the fact that you know you're not doing it at all should reinforce the fact that you need to do it. But the wrong way to do it is by trying to buy a bunch of links or to try to get your velocity way up very, very quickly. That's why I said just consider them branding efforts. All of you dealerships have been branding for years and years and years. So just think of this as part of your branding efforts and overall marketing efforts. Don't think about it as like a nerdy thing where you've got to go reach out to individual webmasters. Like that will happen, but don't think about that in the forefront because it'll be very overwhelming to you to think about that one-to-one kind of thing where you found a link opportunity, now you got to go email a webmaster, hope that the link gets up there. Really just put your fish in or put your line in the water as many places as you can and then go back and verify that you've got those links. So that's how I would start doing it.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Cool. That's right. Exactly. So in order to determine how you're going to find out what's going on in your market and what works, and if you acquired the links that you should be acquiring, it's kind of a pain in the rear to go out and manually visit each one of the sites for the events that you're sponsoring or the relevant businesses. So start with a link checker. The 3 main link checkers that I like are Moz's Open Site Explorer, Majestic, and Ahrefs. Those are still the 3 best ones on the market there. And Moz is very easy to use. Majestic's a little bit nerdier, same thing with Ahrefs, but their frequency is very, very good on Majestic. They'll show you exactly what new links were added in the last couple days. Moz is a little bit slower on that stuff, but it does have that domain authority metric that is pretty ubiquitous across the industry that people still latch on to that number quite a bit. So those are my 3 main link checkers that I would check out. Moz's Open Site Explorer, Majestic, and Ahrefs. And so where I start is by running link checks on the competitors in your market. And you know who your offline competitors are because maybe they're right across the street or you've been dealing with them for years and you know you just hate that other dealership. But you need to look at your search visibility as well too and see who's beating you for oil changes, who's beating you for vehicle-specific searches, who's beating you for generic car dealer searches. Find the people that are ranking 1 through 10, and it's going to be a number of factors that get them into the top 10 results there. Some of it may be content, some of it may be citations, but I would at least run a link check on all of them. So see what they've got going on, see what's working for them, and then start looking at top performance in other markets. So maybe the guys in your market aren't doing great, or you've already gone through all their links and you're like, okay, I kind of get a sense for what they're doing, but check out other major metros or other comparably sized markets. See what's working there for the top performers, because maybe they have an idea that you all hadn't thought about. So I always like to run link checks on those guys, and then just start identifying potential link sources. And one little kind of like pro tip on that stuff is winning awards and stuff like that. It's a really great way to get links. So that's like real-time company, good time stuff. So when you run these link checks, it'll always have a column for anchor text on those links. Look for stuff that has awards or winners or anything like that. Look at what your competitors did or other top performers did in those markets to win those awards. Was it something proprietary for them where they just donated a bunch of money to whoever gave them that award? Or was there like a standard of excellence that they had to meet? Because those award ones are really good. They help not only your brand, but it's a way that you can get a link that your competitors can't get because you won that award. That's what your competitor's doing there. So it's one way to identify potential link sources. But additionally, it's going to be a lot of local businesses that maybe they're not completely on brand for you guys, but there's usually an opportunity where you can provide some value there and you know that legitimate users are on those websites. So churches and schools are always great. They run all kinds of stuff. And so if they've got a little festival there, yeah, you could sponsor the duck game or whatever, and they probably only need like 200 ducks, and the kids go in and pull out a duck, and then they grab something. Great. Try to offer something for your brand as well, like, hey, could we do it with little floating cars or something like that? I know that doesn't make a ton of sense, but hey, maybe we have them on a little driving track, and there's no water in there, and it's something else. So try to figure out if there's a way you can kind of push your branding or your value onto these other organizations there. But don't force the issue. Do whatever they need. Ask the organizations what they're looking for. But churches and schools are great, and all of the things you see here, they usually have pretty small domain authorities. They're not going to be big boy sites, but a lot of them are going to have actual users there, and kind of the same thing with the homeowners associations. You know what churches in your area have affluent people. You know what churches have lower socioeconomic people. So if you're selling Kias or Hondais, cool, go with the lower socioeconomic stuff. If you're selling Mercedes and higher end stuff, cool, go to the big boy church, see if they need anything. And at those churches, they're probably not going to need money. They're going to need resources. So that's where you got to go back, determine where you can provide value there. The lower socioeconomic ones, they may just want straight cash. So just look at where you can provide value, offer value to those people. But daycare centers, sports teams, rec centers are always very, very good. Nursing homes, I only like those because the webmaster there is usually very, very lonely. Not many people are hitting up nursing home webmasters for link opportunities. But, you know, it's one way you could reach out and say, you know, we give rides to people that need rides from a nursing home out, or we perform service on the vehicles there that the nursing home has. You know, they've got those little buses and stuff like that. Just see if you can provide any value for them. And then festivals and event links, I always love. Just look for festivals that kind of, where it would make sense if you were there from an offline perspective. Like if somebody's walking out at the end of the day and they see 10 different booths set up, does your booth make sense being there? And that's where the Walk Like Mad makes a lot of sense. But maybe the Cotton Candy Festival doesn't make as much sense. News sites, local magazines, and alt weeklies, this is where you want to go out and try to like push a splashy story that you all have within the dealership there. Maybe it's a Al Bundy style guy who got his Dodge up to 1,000,000 miles or something like that, and it turned over at 99999, and you guys have it on camera. Anything like that is cool. If you've got somebody who's, I don't know, going out to street race or something like that in a legal environment, highlight that kind of stuff. Look at the people within your dealership, see if there's any splashy stories that you all can be the original content creator for, and then push that out to local magazines or alt weekly, see if they want to pick up some stuff and kind of do a feature on it. Like I mentioned, award sites are really, really good. Winning an award is not only a nice trust factor that it builds within your community there, but usually there's only one winner of those awards. So you're taking that link from somebody else by performing at a high level. Maybe it's customer satisfaction, maybe it's sales, whatever. But you want to try to win those awards as much as you can because your competitors can't get those links. Local bloggers are always good. They're usually pretty bored and looking for something to write about. So same kind of deal as the local magazines and alt weeklies. Find if you've got a story anywhere and then reach out to a local blogger, see if they want to pick it up. Or just see if you've got a local blogger in your area that's writing about cars all the time, see if you can provide any value to them. Say, hey, looks like you're writing test drive blogs about all the different OEMs in the area. We'd love to have you come in and test drive the new 2019 Ram 1500. That would be awesome if you could do a test drive write-up on your blog and then link back to us. And that's perfectly legitimate, nothing wrong with that at all. And then maybe you'll get some national sites out there. A lot of the content I see getting nationally picked up stuff is just how-to blog posts or like how to connect your iPhone to a 2018 Honda CR-V or how to change your clock in your Mercedes after daylight savings time. Stuff like that, very useful on the how-to side, and it can get you links. As I said, it's really just kind of lifting your overall domain authority, but isn't doing a ton for you locally there because the users that read those things, they've already purchased a car and they're all across the country, so it's very unlikely that any of them are going to come in and actually purchase a vehicle from you. So maybe you'll get some national sites out there. Another thing you're going to find when you start running link checks is a lot of spam because people still love doing the spammy stuff, even though I tell them, hey, more does not mean better. Do not go spam things. So yeah, you're going to find lots and lots and lots of spam that you'll have to wade through. Not a lot of fun. And then the quality and volume that you need are going to vary by market. So if you're in a remote location, you might be thinking, hey man, I'm in the middle of nowhere up here. There's not enough events to sponsor. Cool, then you may need only 5 links or something like that to beat your competition. And the quality doesn't have to be some giant metro kind of like walk like mad thing for Dallas or Fort Worth. It can be a lower domain authority site. You don't have to have high domain quality to get a link there. And in your market, it may only take a few of them. And the vertical will change. So again, service-specific stuff, that may be different than the sales-specific stuff. So if you're trying to compete with a Jiffy Lube in your area or an equivalent independent business that just does oil changes, okay, they may have higher quality links from, again, like different service opportunities out there that you guys just don't have. So look at those people too, since you guys are doing all of them here, sales and service. See if there's something you can figure out that, yeah, we can beat the other car dealers in the area here with 5 links. These freaking oil change stations have 10 or 15. So depending on the vertical or the specifics of that vertical, it may take more. And then the packed results and the organic can vary wildly on link counts. So I'm going to go through some insurance examples here just because they're a lot of fun. So this is one pack for Chicago, I believe. Yeah, there it is, Chicago. Woohoo! And so you can see Lakeview Insurance wins out right here on this just brand, or not even brand, non-branded like insurance agent Chicago. They don't have a ton of reviews, got pretty low star ratings overall, but if I'm outside the city, this is what shows up #1 in the pack. So they have 0 referring domains from Majestic when you drop in their URL. Okay, that's wildly varying. And then if you put them in Moz, they had 9 linking root domains there. And nothing that looks really that great. Some Yellow Book, they got a .edu link there from Northwestern, so that's helping them a little bit. But then you go look at some of the other stuff like Allstate Agents, for example, and their subdomain for all their agents. They have like 890 linking root domains because they're a big boy. So it'll be tough. And then they also show 236 linking root domains, for this specific one here on Moz. So you can see it varies wildly by link checker. It also varies wildly by organic and pack results. So Allstate ranked #1 in the localized organic ranking, which was the top 10 blue links there. So sorry about that. I know it does seem scary. That's a lot of links to try to get in some verticals. but really your only hope is your giant brain, because you've just got to outthink your competition there more than anything. And the ability to build relationships, because link outreach, and you got to do this in various ways and with help. So when I talked about churches and daycare centers, emailing the webmaster is not the way to go on that kind of stuff. It's building a relationship either with somebody within your dealership that goes to that church or has a kid at that daycare center, something like that, because link outreach is the opposite of fun. Emailing a pretty generic kind of, hey, this is such and such with this dealership, and we were looking for opportunities to sponsor you guys. That's not going to do as well as if you lean on your contacts to find an in, because cold calls and cold emails are pretty tough. So I honestly like going at people via social or even a handwritten letter. I know it seems crazy in 2018, excuse me, but it works. So emailing is fine, but try to find out if there's somebody on Facebook that's part of the organization that you can reach out to, or if they've got a Twitter account that's pretty active, hit them up there. Or that handwritten letter, because it really does help to have that in, because even though you are offering value to these organizations, you still have to sell somebody at these organizations. You guys are great at selling. You do that all day long, but it becomes much, much easier when the links are local and relevant to your brand. That's where a guy 10 states away, if I'm trying to sponsor a plumber, or every plumber 10 states away, it's going to be tougher. I'm not going to have an in. That's not really relevant to my brand. It's not local in any way, shape, or form. So you really just need to look for, where can I get good authority? Where can I get good volume? And then just figure out what you need to do there. But I do have only one request. And,
what is it?
Sorry, I need my cough button here. I've been sick all week. Just do not spam rando directories and then call it link building. This is something that I see kind of junior link builders or people with not a lot of knowledge get into, where they're like, oh, hey, we could just add a bunch of links to this directory site, and this directory site spins them out to like 10 other directory sites. And even though it works right now, it's not going to work forever, and it's really bad for your brand. So you can see here the Suzanne Brown Agency for Insurance here, terrible name on GMB as well. But she ranks #1 in the pack in Houston. And here's a list when I pulled her links of all the places where she gets links from. So I don't believe that Suzanne Brown is one of the best 2017 state fairs. I also don't believe she's one of the best campgrounds or one of the best farmers markets around. But she went in and added her insurance agency to all these best of directories and called it link building. And yeah, that did show more linking domains and more links that came into her site, but it's not good for anybody. This is what it looks like when you go to best state and county fairs powered by American Towns Media. Whoop, whoop. Is that it shows this insurance agency, but this is not a state and county fair. So this sends extremely confusing signals to the search engine and any user who may have been looking for something on this particular website.
Oh my God.
Here she is, one of the best hip-hop clubs in America. Good for her. But you'd be very let down if you went there looking for a good hip-hop show and you ended up with this insurance agency here. So when you do that kind of stuff, you turn into Duff Man, being Mark Twain, and it's not good for anyone. It's not good for your link profile. It's not good for the users on those websites, and you're never going to get clicks over from best hip-hop clubs in America back to your dealership site. So just don't do that. That wraps it up for the actual presentation portion. Suggested resources you guys can look at. Search engine land. Always have good up-to-date information about local SEO. The Moz blog is a great resource. They still put out weekly Whiteboard Friday videos, and those are always very, very helpful. And then the DealerOn blog, we always put out a Wednesday workshop video, and then we usually do 1 or 2 blog posts at least every week there as well. So check out those resources, always good stuff. And then for the action items for today, just start identifying areas where your dealership can provide value to organizations. That's kind of like your first step. It's like, where do we provide value? What resources do we have? How much money do we have to spend on this stuff? Then go through, audit your competitors' link profiles, and then the businesses or organizations that you do work with, start running link checks on your own site and verifying that you're acquiring links from those partnerships. Because there's nothing worse than somebody putting up your logo and then not linking back to your website, or somebody writing a blog post about the event and not linking back to your website. You provided resources, you provided value, it's not outside the norm of decency to request a link back to your website. So all good there. Just verify you're acquiring those links from the partnerships. So cool. Is this my Q&A here, or do we go to the giveaway? What do we do?
That was great. Wowza. That was amazing. And I loved your examples that you showed as well. All right, so I'm going to turn on my webcam. Audience, we have a really great handful of questions that have come in already, but if you have a question for today's DealerOn webinar presenter, Steve Shackelford from DealerOn, get those questions in. We're looking forward to helping you with your automotive SEO this year. All right, before we go there, though, I am here to tell you you can download today's slide deck by going to the GoToWebinar interface and looking pretty low on it and look for the word that says handouts. Right next to it, there's a little triangle. Click on that triangle. It'll open up. And in there, you'll find one great handout today. That's right. It's today's slide deck, which, of course, was filled with all kinds of automotive awesomeness, great facts, and, of course, our favorite cartoons. So you can download that until the end of this broadcast. Now, if you have any trouble whatsoever downloading that, it's okay. Email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com, and I'll help you out. All right? Okay, and get those questions in. And yes, now it's time to give away today's prize. So if you were here at the beginning of the webinar, then you heard me announce that our good friends over at AutoHook are sponsoring this week's webinar giveaway. AutoHook is a showroom traffic driver. They've built the ultimate attribution engine that tracks the customer through the lead, showroom visit, and purchase, and then delivers a cost per sale that's best in the industry. One lucky webinar attendee is going to win a $250 e-gift card from our good friends over at AutoHook. All you have to do is be the first person to write in the correct response to today's giveaway question, and you are going to be getting this cool prize delivered to you probably within a couple hours after the webinar concludes. It's really awesome. Our friends at AutoHook are amazing to do this for us. And if you're a vendor, we're going to ask you to kindly sit this out. We love having you on our show, of course. But we're telling you right now, this prize is intended for dealership personnel only. So please sit this out and let a dealership person win this prize. All right, everyone, get to your keyboards. Get ready. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. I hope you type fast. Name the 3 link checkers that Steve Shackelford recommended during the show. And you better give them all to me on one line, because if you try and send me 3 different ones on 3 different lines, it's not going to help. 3 link checkers Steve Shackelford recommended during the show. Let's see. Who is the first person to write the... Oh, my. A lot of people wrote in. Hold on. Let me scroll up, people. What? Max Nunn, you are today's winner. You were the very first person to write in, and you got them all right. That's correct. Moz, Open Site Explorer, Majestic, and Ahrefs. Max Nunn, congratulations. You just scored yourself a pretty sweet prize, if I do say so myself. Do me a favor, spend it all in one place. $250 e-gift card from our good friends over at AutoHook. Now, Max, write on in and let me know what dealership you're from so I can give you a proper congratulations. And yeah, I know you're happy about it. I'm happy for you, but I know your name's not Max Nunn. My name's not Max Nunn. We didn't get the $250 e-gift card today. But you know what? We give away cool prizes every week here on the DealerOn webinar, so come on back to another DealerOn webinar, and who knows, that might be the day you win a great prize. But for today, big congrats go out to Max Nunn from Hyundai of St. Augustine. Congratulations. And of course, we got to thank our good friends over at AutoHook for their incredible generosity. And for more information about AutoHook, please check them out at driveautohook.com. All right. Thank you so much for playing along with us. Now, let's get to some fun stuff and answer some questions. How you doing, Steve?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good. All right. Let's see. First question came in nice and early from Amy. Amy says, when we build SEO pages for new vehicle models for a certain city, can we duplicate the page for a different city, or does that hurt us? Does it need to have different content for each city targeted per model? Steve, what do you got?
Oh, Yeah. And then I would evaluate your strategy for whether or not you think targeting model-specific pages for SEO value on ancillary cities is your best use of time. I would say go look in those other cities first. If there's another dealership there and it's a pretty decent haul, I wouldn't waste your time on it. You could put the pages up there, but then definitely evaluate them month over month and see how many clicks are we even getting from these pages here. Because for SEO, it's really not a great use of your time is what I would say, because you are going to have to rewrite additional content. It does need to be unique, and there has to be some value proposition for this other city as to why people would drive from that market over to your market, because I would imagine you're putting pages up in cities where there's another dealership there. So this is where I recommend SEM stuff more than anything, or pay-per-click. Start there. You can build a page specifically to that city. It still needs to have some form of content, but you're not trying to get it ranked very well. You could go no index that page, or even prevent robots from crawling it there, and just say, I'm going to spend money, or you can't block robots from crawling it. But you can no index the page, then go in and say, I'm going to spend some money in that other market and see if there's anybody even clicking on this model specific page and then converting. And if you go spend $100 on it or $200 over the course of a month, and any of the people that lived in that market clicked on the page and didn't convert, then it's further evidence that it's probably not a good use of your time. I would say build local landing pages or local content silos for that other market, and then really don't get drilled down into model-specific pages, because at the end of each year, you're going to have probably 10 to 15 model pages that are specific to your market. Then you may be trying to do 10 or 15 model-specific pages for other markets, and now you've got too much of a bloat on your website because you have these 30, 45, 60 pages worth of stuff that you're going to have to redo year after year for each specific model. And as you look at the traffic, because I've seen this on dealer sites before, a lot of those pages are getting 3 clicks a month from organic and 0 conversions. So at that point, those pages are actually hurting you more than they're helping you. So feel free to build them, but I would always have a value proposition on that page. I would always have definitely unique content if you're going after it for SEO, but really make it lean, mean, make it convert very well if at all possible, because you are going to spend some money probably on pay-per-click to verify if it's even a valid strategy. That's how I would approach it.
I feel like everything that you talked about today, Steve, was more about, hey, it's not quantity, it's quality. So, Amy, thank you so much for the great question. If you have a follow-up question, we're here for you, Amy. We'd love to help you. Okay, next question comes in from Bruce. I like this question. He says, content length. Longer or shorter in the age of mobile? How much does content length affect ranking?
Oh, the content length, it's more about usefulness. It's not about length. So that's one of the common misnomers out there with thin content. Thin content doesn't mean that it's short. If it's 3 sentences and it answers every query that's potentially coming into that page and it's a useful experience, then all you need is 3 sentences. But if it requires more content to answer all the questions or detail additional services that are related, then it may be longer. As far as the mobile side goes, what's going to get valued the most is what's visible on that initial page load. So depending on your mobile device, it's whatever content or whatever items are up there at the top. On initial page load, what is being shown to users, and that has the most value. But I wouldn't get too hung up on a word count or length or anything like that. Just make it useful.
Got it. All right, Bruce, thank you so much. Great question. He actually has a follow-up question, too. He says, we understand site speed is important for the user experience, but does it affect page rank?
I just always go for the fastest page speed as possible, and I wouldn't get too hung up on the page rank side of it. Just make sure your site speed is as fast as possible. Because, yeah, users are just going to bounce out quickly, and if they go back to search engines because your page didn't load fast enough for them, then that will ding you in the rankings. So, such a search engine served you up number 1, somebody clicks on it, it doesn't load, they go back to search. The next time somebody searches for that query, you may be down at number 4, because when they served you at number 1, they had too many users that clicked on it and then bounced back to search engines. So just make it as fast as possible, because it can impact your rankings.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you so much, Bruce. Okay, next question. Actually, I have a couple questions that came in from Christopher. He says, do ads on local sites with links to our site count as positive external links, such as advertising on a local news channel site. So we're talking about ads first. We're not talking about, you know, hey, this local news channel just did a great story on us.
Right. It kind of depends on how their ad network is set up. If it's part of a larger ad network like Google Ad Network, and that's how the ad gets on that news site, not going to do too much for you from an external link standpoint. But if it's a like privately hosted news site and they say, hey, we have 10 sponsors and we put those links over on the side of all of our articles, yeah, those will count as external links as long as they don't no-follow them. So a no-follow tag would just tell search engines, hey, yeah, the link goes here, but don't follow or pass any authority off to this link. So kind of depends on the setup that news site has had there.
Wait.
But I do like sponsoring individual websites. Go ahead.
Wait. So how do you know if somebody gave you a link, but it's a no-follow link?
It will tell you in all of those link checkers.
Oh,
so it will still pull up, and you can determine on Moz, do you want to show all links? Do you want to show only followed links, only no-followed links? And so like one of the most popular areas for no-follows is comments on blogs. So that used to be a popular link building strategy like 8 years ago, is people would go in and try to post a useful comment on a blog and then either put a link in their signature or put a link like within the content itself. And so pretty much every major blogging platform just no-follows all those links by default to deter people from doing it. Same thing with like forum sites. It used to be a real popular tactic like 10 years ago where you could go into a forum and say, oh, I know the best place for a 2019 Ram 1500, and then you link to it there. But almost all of those links are no-followed as well. So that's how a lot of people treat the ads that are coming in. If they're technically paid advertisements, they'll put a no-follow on it. But a lot of website providers won't. Like we've got a local alt weekly here in town that just has a recurring list of sponsors, and there's only 3 on either sidebar that's got a weird horizontal scroll. And those 3 are not no-followed, even though they're technically paid sponsorships of that content. They don't no-follow the links, so it's totally good. That's just like any other sponsorship there. So it just kind of depends on the setup of the site.
Okay, so earlier when you were talking about how, hey, you should get in touch with the webmaster and get a link, you know, because you're providing value. So what if they give you a no-follow link? Do you go back and say, yo, what's up, dude?
Nope, not really. That was on you to check kind of beforehand. If all the other links on the site are no-followed, I would say, okay, if this helps our branding effort and we get legitimate users that click on it from here, great, all good with it. But you're not going to get any real SEO value out of the no-followed link other than just adding a link to your check or to your volume list, essentially. But there's still nothing wrong with no-followed links. They're just not passing any authority over to search engines. So again, if you're getting users that click on it and come to your website and it's on brand, still do it. It's not a big deal because you're getting users that click on your website. But if you're just doing it for SEO value, that's why I said it's going to seem like a raw deal. You've got to do it to build your business. You've got to do it as more of a branding effort and then just hope that the halo effect works out for you. Because at any point in time, like I could go into our sponsors page right now and just go no-follow all those links. But those people have already given me their money. So I'm not going to give it back just because I no-followed the link. I would hope that they were doing it because they were trying to provide value or to build their business. It wasn't just a one-to-one, I'm just doing this for the link, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Okay, so here's the follow-up question from Christopher. He says, he says, events are time-based. How long are the links we get on such pages good for? Does the Google juice expire after a certain period of time? Okay, so let's just say we have an event, and let's just say it's on Easter Sunday, and it's April 1st. So, and it was a fundraiser. Let's say it was a fundraiser, and we were one of the sponsors, all right?
Yeah.
ABC Ford was one of the sponsors. So how long can we get something out of that? How long is that good for from April 1st?
Well, you're going to get the most out of it when users are actually going to that page, and that's what search engines are going to see too, is that there's more people going to this events page. So that's where you would always want to have a blog post written about the event, because that event post will live on the dealer, or not the dealer, but the organization's blog feed forever. And then you would hope that they do like kind of a recap post as well, so you maybe get 2 blog posts on there. But yeah, once users stop visiting the page and stop clicking on it, yeah, its value definitely goes down. But it's always a link that's associated with your property unless they just kill the page. So I wouldn't get too hung up on the expiration of it, especially if it's a branding effort and it helps your business there. So yeah, I mean, if you want to try to get a link that lives forever, go for it. But a lot of times there may not be users associated with those. But yeah, evergreen links, go for them, but I've got no problem with events because normally those events recur, and then they'll have a new event post up another month down the line, or if you're only doing that for a year, okay, it recurs every year, and then we always get a link on this page. And then it has more value when users are coming to the page and actually clicking on that link. So I wouldn't get too hung up on the how long is my link valid for beyond, hey, just trying to get them out there and make it a branding effort.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for the questions, Christopher. Now, ironically, next question is from a different Christopher, I swear. Okay, so another Christopher says, if we have a group site that serves as an umbrella for multiple dealers, how should the link building approach differ for that umbrella site than it would for a specific site?
I personally, for car dealers, would push all of my links down to the individual dealership sites in whatever market that they serve. So I know a lot of times for like a big group like a Hendrick or something like that, a lot of the links are going to go to the parent domain. That's where you also need to go and check all the ones that are going to, let's say, Hendrick Cars, I forget their domain, and see if, oh, well, yeah, you pointed to our main parent site, but this is actually a specific dealership that was sponsoring you. Can you change the link over to that specific dealership? Because I would try to get as many links for the little guys more so than getting one for the big umbrella site. Fewer people are going to get that umbrella site served to them in search results, so just focus on the individual dealership ones.
Okay. Christopher, if you have a follow-up question, we'd love to hear from you. All right, next question comes in from Josh. He says, those are great slides, Steve. Where did you find all the Simpson slides?
Google. It is a robust search engine of images. They do a good job out there. So, yeah, just go to Google, set your search tools for high-quality imagery, make sure it's over 1,000 by 568, I believe is the dimensions I use on my slideshow. But, yeah, not too difficult. There are some good sites like Frinkiac.com that have good screen shares, and you can search by quote, or sorry, screenshots, and you can search by quote and search by episode, but they're just not high quality enough for slide decks, unfortunately. So, lots of resources. I like Google, though.
You are so funny. Okay. Thank you so much. Great comment, Josh. Okay, next one comes in from David. He says, what's the best way to start for someone who has never done link building?
Start with the link checker. Go in and put in the websites for your website, and then look at your top 3 competitors, run link checks on them, and then just start mining through them, either with anchor text looking for awards or looking for anchor text that says sponsor or friend or something like that, and then just start looking at where people are getting links from, and then reach out to those organizations, see if you can get a link there as well, either because you're providing value or because you actually already have a partnership with them. So that's where you would kind of just like cross-reference it with whatever partners you know you're working with, go through the links that pull up when you run your website and say, oh, son of a gun, we've been sponsoring that Wednesday's Child Golf Tournament for 10 years and we don't have a link on their website. I mean, we didn't get into this for the links, but we should be getting one. So that's where I would start, is start by running your own website, see where you're not getting links. And then there's also some other tools like unlinked mentions inside of Open Site Explorer. That's real low-hanging fruit. So you can go in and just type in your dealership name or type in your website name. Look for anywhere where somebody's written about you previously and didn't link to you. It's an unlinked mention. And start there. That's real low-hanging fruit. But look at the events and partners you're already working with. Look for unlinked mentions. Cross-reference that with the list of links you get after you run your website through a link checker. And then just start there. Go out and hit every organization and partner and say, hey, we don't have a link on your website. We've been sponsoring you for 10 years. Hook it up already. Stuff like that. And then you go through competitors,
Yeah.
see where they're getting links.
That's awesome advice. All right, David, I hope that helps you out. If you have a follow-up question, please let us know. I know we still have a number of questions, Steve. A lot of questions came in from the audience. You're doing great. All right, next one comes in from our friend to the north, George, and he says, we recently had our vendor build us a new website that was a little more 2018. Our old one looked a decade old and had buttons and links everywhere. Since changing over, we noticed that the time on site is about the same so far, yet the amount of pages per session was lower. Is this a good indicator that people are finding what they need on the site quicker, or should we be worried?
No, As long as I would look at your conversion totals and not get too hung up on the pages per session stuff. Just see if people are converting. If they're converting at a higher rate, all good. But I wouldn't get too hung up on how many pages per session people are looking at unless you're getting like, 97% bounce rate on something, or your conversions dropped off like crazy. If that happened, then start evaluating, okay, what pages are these people looking at? Are we not moving them through to relevant pages quickly enough? Or is there nothing delineating that, hey, you need to go to schedule service because there's a big button for schedule service at the bottom of the content, that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't get too hung up on the pages per session. I'd look more at conversion totals.
Excellent advice. George, thank you so much for the great question. If you have a follow-up, please let us know. All right, next question comes from Michael. It says, Eliana, are you coming to us live from your closet? White shutter doors behind you? All right. So, Michael, you must have showed up late because I told everyone I was broadcasting from a hotel room in Vegas because I'm here for NADA. But thank you so much for noticing my beautiful change of background. All right, next question comes in from Lisa. Lisa says, I looked up our website for linking on mods. It shows no inbound links, yet we do have them out there. Am I searching incorrectly?
Nope. That's why we use 3 different link checkers and then deduplicate, because kind of as I showed there with the insurance agency, Majestic may show 800 links where Moz only shows 236. So different link checkers have different links in their, just kind of their library of what they're checking. So I would check all 3 sources to see what links you're getting. And just because Moz says 0, maybe it's a brand new website, but doesn't sound like it is for you guys. Or maybe you've got the settings set weird where it's only looking at a specific page and not the entire root domain. But I would play with all 3 link checkers and go through there. Or then try again in a week on Moz. I'd be lying if I said it was a perfect tool. They're just like anyone else. They're constantly working on stuff, changing what link sites they're using to get into their index and what they crawl. So if you know you've got links, they're out there somewhere, use Majestic, use Ahrefs, see what links you're getting there.
Okay, great. Lisa, by the way, wrote in and she says, thanks. Thank you, Lisa. Great question. Good luck. All right, next question comes in from Maxime. Says, how about HTTPS? Will there really be penalties for non-HTTPS sites? And if you know that there are, when?
It's not going to be a penalty more so than they're going to favor people where they know it's secure. Same kind of thing for citation inconsistency. You're never going to get penalized because of citation inconsistency, but your competitors may beat you if their hours and their location are correct everywhere. It always says they close at 9 p.m. on Facebook, on Yelp, on Google, and yours says you close at 8:30 on Facebook and 8:15 on Google and 9 p.m. on Yelp. It's not that you're going to get a penalty for it. They're just going to feel less secure about providing your information at the top. So I would recommend going to HTTPS as soon as you can, but you're not going to get dinged or penalized. You'll get the little browser notification that it's not secure, but there's not going to be a penalty specifically for non-secure sites.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. Maxime, thank you so much for that very insightful question. All right. Next one comes in from Bruce. He says, what is that thing you are holding to your ear, Steve Shackelford?
So they got us new phones a while back, but nobody got us new headsets. And so new phones don't come with an 1/8-inch jack. So I was just left having to hold this handset the entire time, unfortunately. But yeah, not ideal. So it is a handheld Avaya phone, or Avaya. I don't know how they pronounce it. Yeah, just my Avaya phone hanging out.
It's called a phone, Bruce.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much for that laugh, Bruce. Okay, by the way, David wrote back in. He's the one who wanted to know where the heck to get started if you've never done link building before. And he says, thank you so much, Steve. That is a great place to start. So thank you so much for the comment, David. All right, couple last questions, and then we'll close out the show. Another question came in from Amy, our first question asker today. Amy follows up with, some of the clubs and organizations that we sponsor events for, they just don't have a website. They use their Facebook page. What can we do to improve our SEO when something like that happens?
Yeah, that's what's tough, is that you do want to look for link viability first. So Clearly, you all sponsored them without links being a caveat or a prerequisite for acquisition there.
Okay.
I typically want to make sure they've got a website. That's where you go evaluate, hey, do you have a sponsors page? Do you have an events page? Do you have a blog where you're writing about this stuff? Because, yeah, the social mentions are a good entity signal, but you're not going to get any major SEO lift by just getting a link shared on Facebook back to you guys. But what I would say is that, hey, if you're already working with that organization, cool, go write a blog post on your own website and then go send it over to that organization on Facebook via message or whatever, however you want to get it to them, and just say, hey, you know, we know you guys don't have a website, but we're sponsoring you all, and we wrote a little recap of that last event we did. If you wouldn't mind sharing this link on your Facebook page, that's some way to get some traffic back to your website from their audience. But, yeah, those links are never going to show up in a link checker as like, hey, you got a link from Facebook on this. Like, that ain't going to help you. So in the future, I would say make sure the organizations and partners or car clubs you're sponsoring have some kind of individualized website. That's all. But not the end of the world. If they're on brand for you guys and you like helping them out, just keep helping them out, because you don't want to just take all your money from them just because they don't have a website. So, you know, you're already in business with them. I would stay in business with them. They're just not going to provide any link value to you from an SEO perspective.
Now, I know you said write an article, write a blog post. Would a short video help at all? Like if they actually attended the event, cut a short video together and said, hey, instead of an article, here's a video. Would that help?
Yeah, it's fine. You could send them that. That would be the same kind of deal. That's just not going to push anybody back to your website from a user standpoint. But again, if it's just a branding effort and you know people in that audience on Facebook are going to view that video, all good. You still get your name out there, so that's fine. It's just not going to provide you any legitimate SEO ranking value or link volume value by doing just that.
Amy, thank you so much for bringing us that interesting situation. We wish you the best of luck, all right? Okay, next question comes from George. And George, okay, this is a little long, so let's go. We had an opportunity where a new food truck in town was looking for dealerships to set up shop at for free just to build up his name a bit. I had the idea of doing a Food Truck Friday type of event where we would host the food truck on our lot one Friday of the month while people shopped. My management was not too hot on the idea because it was food related and they would still need to pay for the food. I still feel this opportunity would be an amazing chance to build a link, build a social media relationship, as well as drive traffic to the dealership for some authentic Italian fare. Would you agree this is a good idea? And he follows up with, by the way, this food truck does have a website.
Yeah. So if you're just looking to me for validation, happy to give you validation on that. Yes, that's a perfectly good idea there. If you need me to help you with strategic communication with your management team, I can help you out a little bit with that as well there. You just try to find a competitor. This is what car dealers typically respond to, unfortunately. Hey, show them that your competitor's already doing something like that, or find somebody in another market that's doing it and ranking well, and try to tie that in and correlate it and say, look, you know, XYZ around the corner is doing this with these food truck guys, and it's working really, really well from them from a link standpoint and a ranking standpoint. I know this can help us here. And you probably know his triggers and which dealer in town is going to kind of ruffle his feathers a little bit. So from a strategic communication aspect, that's how I would probably approach it. But no, your idea is sound and valid, and that's a great idea because you guys are kind of planting seeds there, not only from a website standpoint, but like you said, you're going to build a social media relationship, and then that's an offline relationship too. Those food trucks aren't just hanging out at your dealership on Fridays. They're probably going to go somewhere else Friday night. They're going to go somewhere else Saturday and Sunday, and they're going to set up. And if they're willing to maybe put a little sticker up on their food truck that says, you know, proudly sponsored by or partners with XYZ dealership, then cool. That's another branding effort where your name is out there all the time. And even if they won't put up a little sticker or anything like that, at least they know who you are. They'll mention you the next time. This is where you would probably try to like offer service for the food truck if you guys are able to accommodate that. You know, just give them something, make it valuable to them in a way that isn't just the parking lot facilities there for the Fridays. Make it valuable to them in another way, and they'll likely talk to other food truck vendors about it, and even maybe their customers when they're in line or something like that. So, yes, totally valid idea. I would approach it from a competitive, hey, this guy's doing it better than us kind of way to get buy-in from your management. That works very well for me most of the time.
Okay. He followed up with, thank you. I really needed to hear that from the horse's mouth because when I pitched this and they weren't so hot on it, I was just so stunned. I was even thinking of getting it so when he's on our lot, he would give a slight discount on the food as an exclusive offer.
Right. All good. I love it.
George, best of luck with that. And by the way, I love the name Food Truck Friday. I think that's a great idea. Okay, let's see. A couple more questions, and then we can close out the show. Leon wrote in, if you're currently using a company like Search Optics for SEM, should we keep it, or is it redundant with our new DealerOn site?
A little confused by the question. I would say your pay-per-click provider is doing stuff that's related to your ads being served up. So just switching website providers shouldn't change too much of how their bid strategies are working or where they're targeting. Now, if Search Optics was building individual landing pages on your old website and they didn't get those moved over or something like that, and those are the pages they're sending people to from ads, no problem at all. DealerOn websites give you full and custom access to that kind of stuff where you can build whatever pages you want. So I would say it's not redundant to have a different SEM provider if it's one you've used and had success with, just because you switched website providers there. So no redundancy.
All right, Leon, thank you so much. If you have a follow-up question, hurry up and get it in. I only have one more question, and then we're going to be closing out the show. Okay, last question comes from our SEO noob, our link building noob, David, and he says, what should be a goal for link quality and volume? Excellent question, David. Steve?
That's why I said it varies wildly in your market. If the people who are ranking 1 through 10 only have 5 links a piece in their relative domain authority, when you look at all of them, it's like, oh, all these links are from like a 12 domain authority to like a 20. Cool, then that's all you need to win in your market. Other markets like Dallas or Chicago, it may be different than that. So it really depends on what's going on in your market and who's winning in your market.
Okay. David, thank you so much for that great question. You're our last question of the day. And Steve Shackelford, slayed it. Oh my gosh, I love having you here. And I love when you come on the show. You ninja the crap out of this whole SEO thing. So thank you so much. I hope it won't be long before I get you back on the show again, my friend.
Sure thing.
All right. Well, I want to tell everyone, I hope you enjoyed the presentation as much as I do. I want to remind the audience a link to download a copy of this webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today. So please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. Today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. All you have to do is go to DealerOn.com/webinars to view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars too. Actually, Steve Shackelford has some really good past webinars. And David, you're still on. He has one. It's called SEO for Noobs. You should look that one up. That was a great one as well. Was that one also Simpsons?
Yeah, I only do Simpsons themed decks. Yes, they're all Simpsons, yes.
You should definitely look that up in our archives, okay? Also, this webinar is going to conclude in just a moment. When it does, you're going to get a very short survey. 3 questions, people. That's all I'm asking for. Go in there, answer those questions, and let us know what you thought of today's presentation. We would really appreciate it. And hell yeah, DealerOn's going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming NADA convention in Vegas. Now, this weekend. So if you're going to be here, I would love to see you. Please stop by booth 3493 Charlie. We have the best booth around, and we're bringing some serious knowledge this time around as well. We have our very own Greg Gifford. He has 2 sessions on the Lego Master Builder's Guide to Local SEO for car dealers. Figure out what's holding your back from showing up in Google searches in your area. And then we also have Michael DeVito. He is our Chief Creative Officer here at DealerOn. He's going to be talking about selling more cars with your mobile website strategy and pave the path to purchase, turn website traffic into sales. I can't wait to see you there. I'm here already. So if you're here, come by, stop at the booth, say hi, and don't forget, schedule your DealerOn NADA demo online and score a cool $100 while you're here in Vegas. For more info, go to DealerOn.com. And invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next DealerOn webinar. First-time DealerOn webinar presenter Mark Tewart is going to talk about underperforming dealership to superstar results in 7 steps. Let's be real. Most dealerships have, at one time or another, floundered. In fact, most dealerships are underperforming right now. Is yours one of them? If you want to know how to take your dealership to superstar status, then this is the webinar for you. For such an important topic, we called in the big guns. Mark Tewart has coached, trained, and consulted with dealers to turn failing dealerships into thriving superstars. With 36 years of automotive industry experience, Mark has discovered the common threads among all underperforming dealerships and how they differ from superstar performers. In this fascinating one-hour webinar, Mark will discuss the top 7 traits of underperforming dealerships and the systemic reasons why they occur. Mark will also share how high-performance dealerships keep these 7 traits from occurring and how your dealership can get back on track for superstar results. If you are ready to take your company from an underperforming dealership to superstar results in 7 steps, then you can't afford to miss this incredible presentation. So register now, and don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding our webinars and our topics, well, heck, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me online. I'm everywhere. I'm on Google+, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on every automotive social network. Or you know what? You can just email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on another webinar in our continuing education series. Take care, everyone, and go build some links. Steve Shackelford, thank you so much, sir.
Have a good one.
Uh-oh. Somehow I have to stop. There we go.